Hello, this is Emma. I'm going to read you the Ruby story today, which goes by this title. I received a wedding gift list from my sister that included 5 upscale items, including a car, flat, and more. Pick all 5 or don't show up, she texted me after I selected the least expensive option. Okay, I said. I then canceled all deposits and denied her access to my account. All right, let's leave. I'm 43 years old and my name is Ruby. After battling cancer for 2 years, my husband David passed away 6 months ago. We enjoyed a happy marriage despite the fact that he was 58 years old and 15 years my senior. We were married really quickly after meeting when I was 21. At that time, David was already a prosperous businessman who amassed a sizable wealth over time. I left my full-time work to care for David when he became ill. It was horrible for those 2 years. I wouldn't want anyone to witness the gradual decline of someone they love. However, I remained with him till the very end. He held my hand as he passed away in our bedroom at home. I learned how much David had left me after the funeral, a large house in the town's best neighborhood where we had lived for 15 years, a downtown flat that we rented out, and a lakeside country home where we spent weekends, 2 expensive cars, a Porsche and a Mercedes, and over $1.5 million in various accounts. I decided I'd keep living in our house. Too many memories to just abandon it. The downtown apartment, though, that's going to my son Jake when he graduates college. He's 20 now, in his 2nd year at a university on the other side of the country. Smart kid, studying engineering. David always said Jake had a good head on his shoulders. As for getting married again, forget it. I'm done with that. David was the love of my life, and I'm not looking to replace him. But I did decide to do something meaningful with part of the money, donate to a cancer research foundation. I went back to work, but just part-time, more to keep myself busy than for the money. David left me enough that I could never work again if I didn't want to, but sitting at home all day just made me think about him more. Everything was going okay until last week. That's when my parents called. Ruby, honey, we need to talk to you about something important, Mom said. Dad was on speakerphone, too. It's about Lisa. She's getting married next spring, and we were hoping you could help with the wedding. Lisa is my younger sister. She's 33, 10 years younger than me. Always been the baby of the family. Always been everyone's favorite. Pretty bubbly, never had to work too hard for anything. Help, how? I asked. Well, financially. She and Tom are just starting out, and weddings are so expensive these days, Mom said. I sighed. Okay, let me call her and see what she's thinking. After I hung up with my parents, I called Lisa right away. Ruby, oh my God, I'm so excited you called. She squealed into the phone. Did Mom and Dad tell you about the wedding? Yeah, they mentioned you might need some help. Oh, I have such amazing ideas. So, Tom and I want to have this huge ceremony at the Riverside Country Club. The really fancy one. And I'm thinking maybe 200 guests with a full sit-down dinner. And I want this gorgeous dress from that bridal boutique downtown. It's like $3,000, but it's perfect. Oh, and we want to hire that band that played at Emma's wedding last year. They were incredible, but they're kind of pricey. I listened to her go on and on for about 20 minutes. Flowers, photographer, videographer, cars, decorations, the works. When she finally stopped talking, I did some quick math in my head. Lisa, that sounds beautiful. But do you have any idea how much all of that would cost? Well, no, not exactly, but that's why I'm hoping you can help. I mean, you have all that money now. There it was. I took a deep breath. Look, Lisa, I'm happy to help, but what you're describing would cost at least $100,000, maybe more. That's not realistic. But Ruby, you can afford it. David left you so much money. That's not the point. A wedding shouldn't cost more than a house down payment. She got quiet for a minute. Then she said, so, how much would you be willing to give me? I thought about it. $50,000. That's my gift to you for your wedding. The rest needs to come from you and Tom or his parents or Mom and Dad. $50,000? That's it. Lisa, $50,000 is a very generous gift. Most people pay for their own weddings. She didn't sound too happy, but she mumbled something that might have been thank you and hung up. The next day, I went to the bank and opened a separate account. I transferred exactly $50,000 into it and added Lisa as an authorized user. Sunday dinner at my parents' house was interesting. Lisa was there with Tom, her fiancé. He seems like a nice enough guy. Works in IT. Pretty quiet. When we were all sitting around the table, I made sure to be very clear about my gift. Lisa, I wanted to let everyone know that I put $50,000 in an account for your wedding. That's my wedding gift to you and Tom. Mom and Dad exchanged looks. Lisa just nodded, but she didn't look thrilled. Tom actually seemed surprised. I don't think Lisa had told him how much I was giving them. That's very generous, Ruby, Dad said. But his tone suggested he thought it should be more. It is generous, I said firmly. Most people don't get that kind of help with their weddings. The conversation moved on to other topics after that, but I could feel the tension. Lisa was picking at her food, and Mom kept giving me these looks like I was disappointing her somehow. Whatever, I'd done my part. $50,000 was more than enough for a nice wedding. If they wanted something fancier, they could figure out how to pay for the rest themselves. For the next few weeks, things went back to normal. I focused on work, went to my charity foundation meetings twice a week, and had my regular video calls with Jake. He was doing great in school, had made some good friends, and was thinking about joining an engineering club. These calls were the highlight of my week, hearing about his classes, his roommates' weird habits, the girl he had a crush on but was too shy to talk to. Work was going well, too. I was doing marketing for a small company that made eco-friendly cleaning products. Nothing too stressful, just 20 hours a week. My boss, Jennifer, was understanding about my situation and let me work flexible hours. The Cancer Foundation work was probably the most meaningful thing I was doing. We were raising money for research and helping families deal with the costs of treatment. Every time I wrote a check or attended a fundraiser, I thought about David and how maybe we could help other families not go through what we went through. Then, on a Tuesday morning, while I was having my coffee and checking emails, I saw one from Lisa. The subject line made my stomach drop. List of wedding gifts. I stared at that subject line for a full minute before opening it. I mean, I had already given her my gift, $50,000. What more could she possibly want? But when I opened the email and read what was inside, I literally choked on my coffee. There were 5 items listed, and each one was more ridiculous than the last. The downtown apartment, the Porsche, David's car, the country house, David's Rolex watch, a honeymoon trip to the Maldives for 2 weeks. I read through the list 3 times, thinking maybe I was misunderstanding something, but nope. My sister had literally asked for hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of gifts. The apartment alone was worth $500,000. The country house was worth even more. And she wanted David's Rolex, the watch he wore every day for 20 years, the one I was planning to give to Jake. I sat there staring at my laptop screen, feeling my blood pressure rise. Part of me wanted to call Lisa immediately and scream at her, but I knew exactly how that conversation would go. She'd start crying, saying she couldn't afford anything nice. And then my parents would call me within an hour, telling me I was being mean to my little sister. This brought back so many memories I've been trying not to think about. When Lisa was born, I was 10 years old. Instead of getting to be a normal kid, I became her built-in babysitter. Mom was always tired. Dad was working extra hours to support the family. So, guess who got stuck watching the baby? When other kids were outside playing, I was changing diapers and warming bottles. When I turned 16 and got my first job at a grocery store, most of my paycheck went to help with household expenses and Lisa's needs. She needed new clothes, school supplies, dance lessons, piano lessons, always something. I got into college on a full scholarship, thank God, but I still worked part-time and sent money home. Even when I was struggling to pay for my own textbooks, I was helping support my little sister. Mom would call and tell me Lisa needed this or that, and I'd send whatever I could. When I met David and we got married, I planned and paid for the entire wedding myself. My parents didn't contribute a single dollar. I remember Mom saying, "Well, David has money, so you don't need our help." Like it was David's responsibility to pay for everything just because he was successful. Then Jake was born when I was 24. Did Lisa, who was 14 then, ever offer to babysit? Nope. Did my parents help out with their first grandchild? Barely. I was on my own with a newborn, trying to figure out motherhood while David was traveling for work. And when Lisa went to college, guess who paid her tuition? Me. I wrote checks for 4 years while she studied art history and partied every weekend. After she graduated, I even paid the rent on her first apartment for 6 months until she found a job. Now here she was, asking for my home, my car, my husband's watch, and a vacation that would cost more than most people make in a year. I kept staring at that email for 30 minutes, going through all these memories. Finally, I decided to be reasonable. I looked at the list again and picked the cheapest option, the Maldives trip. It would cost about $18,000 for 2 weeks at a nice resort. Still ridiculous, but way less than giving her property worth hundreds of thousands. I typed back, Lisa, I've already given you $50,000 for your wedding. That was my gift. However, I'm willing to also pay for your honeymoon trip to the Maldives. That's my final offer. I hit send and closed my laptop, thinking that would be the end of it. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed with another email from Lisa. That's not how this works, Ruby. I need all of these things, not just one. You have so much, and I have nothing. Pick all 5 or don't bother. I sat there in complete silence for 5 minutes, reading that message over and over. The entitlement was breathtaking. She literally expected me to hand over half of everything David had left me, plus pay for an expensive vacation. That's when I picked up my phone and called her directly. She answered on the second ring. What the hell is wrong with you? I asked. Excuse me, Lisa. You're asking for hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of gifts. Do you have any idea how insane that is? It's not insane, she said, and I could hear her getting defensive. You have all that stuff just sitting there. David left you an apartment, the country house, 2 cars, his watch, plus all that money. What do you need it all for? You said you're never getting married again. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. I have a son, Lisa, your nephew. I'm planning to give Jake the apartment when he graduates and one of the cars and, yes, his father's watch. But Ruby, I'm getting married, Lisa whined. This is supposed to be the happiest time of my life, and I can't afford anything nice. You can afford plenty with $50,000. And if you want more than that, figure it out yourself. There was silence on the other end for a moment. Then Lisa said in a completely different tone, Fine, either you give me all 5 things on that list, or don't bother coming to my wedding. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Are you seriously giving me an ultimatum? I'm telling you how it is. You give me what I want, or you're not welcome at my wedding. Lisa, need I remind you that I'm paying for your wedding? She laughed. Actually laughed. It's not even your money, Ruby. You didn't earn any of it. You just got lucky that your sick husband died and left you everything. The least you can do is share some of it with your family instead of being a selfish bastard about it. I hung up the phone. I sat there shaking for about 5 minutes. I couldn't believe she had said that about David, calling him my sick husband and saying I was lucky he died. That was unforgivable. David was a good man who fought cancer with everything he had, and he didn't deserve to be talked about like that. I grabbed my phone and opened my banking app. It took me less than 2 minutes to revoke Lisa's access to the wedding account. Then I went through and canceled every single deposit she had made with that money. The venue, the caterer, the florist, the photographer, everything. After I finished with the banking stuff, I turned my phone completely off. I knew Lisa and my parents would start calling as soon as the wedding planner contacted her about the canceled payments, and I didn't want to deal with it right then. Instead, I went out to my garden. David had helped me plant it 3 years ago, and working in the dirt always helped me think clearly. I spent the whole evening pulling weeds and watering plants, trying to calm down. The next morning, I finally turned my phone back on. 37 missed calls, 28 text messages, most of them from Lisa, some from my parents. I skimmed through Lisa's messages first. She was freaking out about the wedding planner calling her to tell her about the canceled deposits. Then she figured out that I had cut off her access to the account. The messages got angrier and more demanding as they went on. Ruby, you need to give me access back right now. This is my wedding money. You can't just take it away. Mom and Dad are going to hear about this. You're being a vindictive bastard, and you know it. My parents' messages were more of the same. Mom demanding that I call her immediately. Dad saying I was being unreasonable. I deleted all the messages without responding and went about my day. I had a meeting at the Cancer Foundation in the afternoon, and I wasn't going to let my family's drama ruin that. They kept calling throughout the day, but I didn't answer. By evening, I figured they'd gotten the message that I wasn't going to talk to them. I was wrong. At 7 p.m., I heard cars pulling into my driveway. I looked out the window and saw my parents' car and Lisa's car. Great. They didn't even knock. Lisa just walked right in. She still had a key from when she used to house sit for us. Ruby, she screamed as soon as she saw me. What the hell do you think you're doing? My parents followed her in, both looking furious. Ruby Elizabeth, Mom said, using my full name like I was still a child. You need to fix this right now. Fix what? I asked calmly. You know what, Lisa said. Give me back access to the account. My wedding is in 3 months and you just ruined everything. I didn't ruin anything. You did that yourself when you decided to insult my dead husband. I didn't insult him. You called him my sick husband and said I was lucky he died. Lisa looked uncomfortable for a second, but then she got defensive again. I was upset. You were being unreasonable. So, you know about the gift list? I asked my parents. Mom nodded. Of course, we do. I helped her make it. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. You helped her. Ruby, you've been living well all these years, Mom continued. David took good care of you. Now it's time for Lisa to have her turn. As her older sister, it's your responsibility to help her. My responsibility? Yes, Dad chimed in. Lisa deserves to have a nice wedding and a good start in life. You have more than enough to share. I looked at the three of them standing in my living room, in the house that David and I had shared for 15 years, demanding that I give away everything he had worked for. Get out, I shouted. I'm not giving Lisa another penny. I'm not giving her back access to the account, and I'm not coming to this stupid wedding. Lisa started crying. You're just jealous because I'm getting married, and you're going to be alone forever. That's enough, I said. All of you, get out of my house right now, or I'm calling the police. You wouldn't dare, Dad said. I picked up my phone and started dialing 911. They left. But that wasn't the end of it. Over the next 2 weeks, they called in reinforcements. Every aunt, uncle, and cousin I had started calling me. They all had the same message: I was being selfish. I should help my sister. Family comes first. I tried explaining the situation to my Aunt Carol, who I had always been close to. But even she took Lisa's side. Ruby, honey, I know Lisa can be a little demanding, but she's always been the baby of the family, and you do have all that money now. Carol, she asked me for my house and my car. Would you give away your house? Well, no, but your situation is different. I gave up trying to explain. I just stopped answering the phone when I saw family members calling. A week later, something happened that made me absolutely furious. Jake called me, sounding upset. Mom, Grandma called me. What did she say? She said if I don't convince you to help Aunt Lisa with her wedding, she's going to disown me. She said I won't be welcome at family gatherings anymore, and she won't help pay for my college. I was seeing red. Jake, listen to me very carefully. Your grandmother isn't paying for your college. I am. And she has no right to drag you into this mess. I told him everything. About Lisa's ridiculous gift list, about the nasty things she said about David, about how my parents had helped her make the list. Jake listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a minute. Then he said, Mom, if they're willing to disown me because you won't give Aunt Lisa a house and a car, then maybe I don't want a relationship with them anyway. I was so proud of my son in that moment. At 20 years old, he had more sense than the rest of my family combined. I love you, Jake. I love you too, Mom. And for what it's worth, I think Dad would be proud of you for standing up for yourself. After that conversation, I felt better than I had in weeks. At least I had one family member who understood what was really going on. 3 months went by pretty quickly after that. I threw myself into work and my charity activities. The Cancer Foundation was planning a big fundraising gala, and I volunteered to help organize it. Keeping busy made it easier not to think about the family drama. Jake and I talked every week, sometimes twice a week. He was doing great in school and had finally worked up the courage to ask out that girl he liked. They went to a campus movie night together, and he was over the moon about it. It was nice to hear him so happy. "Mom, are you doing okay?" he asked during one of our calls. "I mean, with everything that happened with Grandma and Aunt Lisa." "I'm fine, sweetheart." "Really?" "It hurt at first, but now I'm actually relieved. I don't have to deal with their constant demands anymore." The family stopped calling after about a month. I guess they finally got the message that I wasn't going to change my mind. My phone was a lot quieter, but I preferred it that way. In early May, I was scrolling through Facebook and saw wedding photos posted by one of my cousins who had attended Lisa's wedding. I probably shouldn't have looked, but curiosity got the better of me. The wedding had taken place in my parents' backyard. There was a small white tent set up, maybe enough seating for 30 people. Lisa was wearing a simple dress, not the $3,000 designer gown she had originally wanted. The flowers looked like they came from a grocery store, and instead of a fancy band, they had someone's cousin playing acoustic guitar. It was actually kind of sweet in its simplicity. If Lisa hadn't been so greedy and demanding, this could have been a beautiful, intimate wedding that the $50,000 I originally offered would have paid for completely, with money left over. But that was her choice. She wanted a mansion, expensive cars, and a luxury vacation instead of a nice wedding. She chose to be greedy over being grateful. I saw Tom in the photos, and he looked happy. He seemed like a decent guy, and I hoped he didn't know about all the drama Lisa had caused. Maybe they'd be good for each other. Over the summer, I had the best time I'd had in years. I spent weekends at the country house, reading by the lake, and working in the garden David and I had planted there. I went to a spa weekend with some friends from work. I took a pottery class and turned out to be surprisingly good at it. In August, I got a text from an unknown number. It turned out to be Tom, Lisa's new husband. "Hi, Ruby. This is Tom. I hope it's okay that I'm texting you. I got your number from Lisa's phone. I wanted to reach out because I feel like there are some misunderstandings in the family that maybe we could work through." I stared at that text for a while, then wrote back, "Hi, Tom. I appreciate you reaching out, but there aren't any misunderstandings. Lisa knows exactly what she did. I hope you two are happy together." He didn't text back after that. I felt a little bad for him. He was probably trying to fix something he didn't fully understand. But it wasn't my job to manage Lisa's relationships or explain her behavior to her husband. In September, Jake turned 21. I drove out to his college for the weekend to celebrate with him. We had dinner at a nice restaurant, and I gave him his birthday present, the Porsche that had been David's. Jake had learned to drive in that car during high school, and David always said it would be his someday. "Mom, are you sure?" Jake asked when I handed him the keys. "This is Dad's car. Your dad wanted you to have it. He told me so before he got too sick to drive." Jake got tears in his eyes. "I miss him." "I miss him too, sweetheart. But he would be so proud of the man you're becoming." We spent the weekend together, and Jake showed me around campus. His friends were great kids, and they clearly adored him. Watching him in his element, confident and happy, made me realize that this was what mattered. Not drama with ungrateful family members, but the people who truly loved me. On the drive home, I made a decision. That $50,000 I had set aside for Lisa's wedding, the money she had thrown back in my face, I was going to donate it to the Cancer Foundation. It felt right. Instead of funding someone's greed, it would go toward helping families dealing with what David and I had gone through. I made the donation the next week. The foundation director called me personally to thank me and told me the money would go toward a new support program for caregivers. Perfect. It's been 6 months since Lisa's wedding now, and I haven't heard from any of my family. No birthday wishes, no holiday cards, no random phone calls. And you know what? I'm completely fine with that. I have my son who loves and respects me. I have good friends who appreciate me for who I am, not for what I can give them. I have meaningful work that makes a difference. I have David's memory and the beautiful life we built together. Most importantly, I have my self-respect. I didn't let anyone guilt me into giving away what David worked so hard to leave for me and Jake. I didn't reward bad behavior or enable someone's sense of entitlement. I'm occasionally asked if I regret the way my family situation turned out. No, is the response. I don't regret standing up for myself, but I regret that they revealed their true selves to me. When Lisa concluded that disparaging my deceased spouse was a legitimate means of obtaining what she desired, she made her decision. My parents' decision to back her demands rather than acknowledge her errors was their own. I also made a decision. I put my dignity ahead of maintaining order. I refused to be a doormat in favor of self-respect. Instead of allowing someone to speak about David as if he didn't exist, I decided to pay tribute to his memory.